be here at any moment. We do apologize for this delay.
We are unhappy with the delay. It seems to be an ongoing thing.
Yes. I think the criticism cannot be argued against. What we can do is just to make sure this doesn't happen too often. I agree we've got this thing that we're hoping it's some new brooms that are coming to sweep slightly differently. So we can just, bear with us kancane nje.
For one, we have said we are daring to, we are mobilized, we are gifted. Because the ANC leadership does not respect China when it comes to Mozambique.
Especially
they do not take us seriously.
Yeah.
Especially more deadlines as well, sending people. Already we've spent 2 hours just sitting here instead of pushing court. So already we're in a crisis.
Maybe allow us to go away.
The Secretary-General of the ANC, Comrade Fikile Mbalula, to speak to us about the purpose of today's presser, which is the official release of the ANC 55th National Conference report and resolutions. It's a late start. We don't want to make it a habit. We don't represent that. Part of the renewal of the ANC is about making sure that your time here is worthwhile, both in terms of efficiency as well as in terms of the quality of engagement. So I do wish to formally welcome you, and with that also hand over to the Secretary-General to walk us through the statement, and then we'll have an engagement afterwards.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and ladies and gentlemen of the press, my apologies. We have back-to-back meetings, starting with the Veterans League. It's still on, and we have another meeting with the Women's League, and many others. So the last meeting, which the DSG is still chairing and engaging, is still on. So my apologies for starting late. Secondly, it was also because of load shedding. We were load shedded at some point, and it also affected the question of time. Today, the African National Congress released the report of the 55th National Conference, including resolutions adopted by this important conference. The release of the report comes on the eve of a nationwide campaign of engaging ANC structures at a provincial and regional level in more than 50 regional general councils over the weekend of the 3rd to the 5th March 2023 to report on the outcomes of the National Conference, the NEC Lekgotla and NEC meeting. These engagements by the national leadership of the ANC with the basic structures of the organization are aimed at giving effect to the unity and renewal of the organization, and the clarion call for 2023 to be the year of decisive action to advance the people's interest and renew our movement. ANC branch leaders will be empowered to report back to communities, ANC branches and stakeholders on how the ANC, working with the people, will ensure the implementation of the National Conference resolutions. The regional general councils will focus on key and immediate tasks arising from the National Conference resolutions as outlined in the January 8 statement of the NEC, delivered by President Cyril Ramaphosa in Mangaung. And these tasks are fix load shedding and electricity crisis, focus on service delivery, grow jobs and the economy through investment and small business support, deal with crime and corruption, deepen renewal of the ANC and build a better world and Africa. Areas that were discussed at the 55th National Conference cover strategy and tactics, organizational renewal, finance and fundraising, peace and stability, social transformation, arts, culture and heritage, communication and battle of ideas, legislature and governance, economic transformation, education, health and science and technology, as well as international relations. National Conference reaffirmed the ANC's core values and historical mission that places people at the center of the movement's programs. Participation of ANC's alliance partners, COSATU and SACP, and inputs by the ANC Veterans League enriched discussions at the National Conference, as it also informed a range of deliberations that were largely focused on how the ANC should do more, better and faster. Such calls emanate from the acceptance that there is a worrying growing distance between the ANC and society, which needs urgent attention. This input also came from the ANC Youth League and the ANC Women's League and the Progressive Youth Alliance. The 55th National Conference directed ANC branches, leaders and deployees to actively work with and for the people. When a crisis, disaster or service issues arises, ANC must mobilize all relevant resources of government and community to assist. Where ANC governs, the movement must be practical, focused on delivery and accountable to our communities. There must be rigorous and regularly monitoring and reporting on performance, which should inform the deployment of ANC's best leaders and most competent cadres. Frank and open discussions of the National Conference interrogated the state of the ANC. In this assessment, particular attention was paid to the ANC's ability to mobilize society around its historic mission, such as being the ANC serving as a vehicle that drives the program of a non-racial, non-sexist, and democratic society that is free from all forms of discrimination. In regard to challenges in the economy, the ANC's goal and commitment is to realize economic growth that is inclusive and create jobs. There must be mobilization of social partners around economic reconstruction and recovery, a program that is well underway and being undertaken by our government through NEDLAC. When advancing this course, focus should be on young people and how to get South Africa working. In its deliberations, the National Conference appreciated that the ANC is a self-correcting and learning organization whose failures and achievements both offer an opportunity to reconnect with our base by accelerating service delivery. This report and resolutions of the National Conference will be distributed through hard copies to all the structures and members of the media, and will also be on all our digital platforms. I don't know, Mahlenge will speak as to when will that happen, but from this weekend, in all 54 regions of the ANC, we will be engaging with our structures and as well taking them on board on a whole lot of issues and decisions that have been taken by the National Executive Committee since December to date. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, SG. May I at this point then just open it up for a quick engagement with yourselves, media colleagues. May I start with my sister over here, and then I will turn to the back in that order, and come to the front. Let's get started here, and then I will come for a second round of questions for colleagues that have raised their hands this side.
Okay, thank you, Sis Mahlengi. It's Kenny Mapanga from SABC News. On migration issues, it's clear that the migration policy framework has been adopted. We've seen in the current events that the Minister of Home Affairs has made efforts to, tackle this issue of illegal migration, but there's been a conflict with the current legislation and how to measure up against the Constitution. It's become quite evident in the cases of Mr. Shibo, the Ethiopian migrant that crossed through the Zimbabwean border, as well as this matter now with the Afghan nationals, that the conflict may arise in the Constitution and those fundamental human rights that are enshrined in that Constitution. Is the ANC looking at perhaps amending the Constitution to deal with this issue?
Thank you very much, Kenny. Candy, and that is done. Shall I then turn to you? Yes, please.
Good afternoon, Abongile Tumako, SABC News. Mhlakazi Mbalula, with regards to the meetings, the regional meetings you spoke about when you started, my understanding is that they will be, I'm here, they will be deliberating on the very, resolutions report, and you're saying it's yet to be published. Timelines, you said we're going to get to this monthly. So, in the case that the copies or the online publications didn't happen, does that mean meetings might not take place until there's a physical, copy of this report? That's number one. Number two, I'm having a letter here with me that comes from Egorule, Ward 16, Kempton Park. They are raising quite serious concerns. It's addressed to the president of the party, and of course you are copied. They're saying that there are negotiations, if you like, between the PEC, the REC there in Egorule and EFF to, there's counter-revolution discussions taking place to have a coalition in Egorule, and they are complaining about the fact that it's not done in accordance to ANC guidelines. It seems that people are doing as they please in that region. Your response to that? Ngosi.
Thank you very much. Shall we then turn to yourself over there? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Kosnati Shazi from Power FM News. On page 22, the ANC says that the revival of the ANC Youth League remains critical. So just a couple of kilometers away, there are WITS protests, the university protest over financial exclusion, and this seems to become a perennial issue since the 2015 fees must fall. So my question is, number one, the role of the Youth League, should they be championing these issues, considering that next year is the elections and they need to be the bridge between youth and the ANC? So my question is, who should be championing these issues? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to stay with that first round of questions and invite the SG to reflect. But just on the technical matter, because I think it's a technical matter, of the dissemination of our report and our resolutions. Today we are officially releasing them, to society, to our members. And so there will be copies. Every deployee of the ANC, all NEC, 87 members of the NEC on different dates would be having sight of this, and our members on the ground will also be having sight of the same document in digital as well as print form. I wanted to just dispense with that one, SG. Thank you very much.
You can give more so that we move faster.
Okay, so shall we then take in that order, then actually reduces the number of questions. So hopefully we've dispensed with that issue about the availability of this report to both society and to our structures. We'll then turn to Goge. I saw another hand this side. Govern, and then there's a hand. There was another hand. Correct me? Yes, thank you.
Usipa Mandla Goge from ENCA. You resolve that on the issue of the bucket system, which is page 46 of your report, if I'm not mistaken, that the ANC is reiterating its call to eradicate the bucket system. Your successive administrations have dismally failed to do so. They failed to meet the 2015-2016 deadline. Last year, former Minister of Water and Sanitation, Minister Lindiwe Sisulu, said by 2022, in the Free State in particular, where you come from, Mr. Secretary-General, the bucket system would have been eradicated. That is not the case. How do you plan to deal with this failure by the ANC-led administration that continues to violate the dignity and human rights of those who continue to use the bucket system? Are you not ashamed of the fact that we have failed? Let's talk about the issue of the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. The tone seems to change in your resolution. You characterize this as a war between the USA, US-led NATO, and Russia. Is that the new position of the ANC in this regard? And what do you make of a proposal and a submission in the US to say there needs to be a review of relations between South Africa and the United States of America? And I will come back to the third one if we still have time, or must I continue?
Continue.
On the basic income grant, you propose that the social relief grant, that is the 350 rands, must be maintained and improved up until a sustainable, affordable way of this basic income grant is found. What do you mean by that? When are you going to finalize this matter as the ANC-led government?
Thank you very much, Goge. Govin?
Good afternoon. My name is Govin Whittles from Newsroom Africa, Channel 405. Does the ANC want people to be disqualified from getting citizenship in South Africa if through marriage? Mr. Secretary-General, could you confirm that the President is ill and that's why he's postponed the cabinet reshuffle? Could you tell us what the ANC prefers in a cabinet reshuffle, the filling of vacancies or wholesale changes? An overhaul, so to speak. The ANC reported getting 15 million rand from United Manganese, partly owned by Russian billionaire. Do you see no problem in accepting funds from United Manganese, considering your attempt to remain neutral in your views towards the conflict in Ukraine? And then you've resolved that the budgets for the police, the Justice Department, and state security shouldn't be lowered again moving forward. Has that reached the government already, or is that the next financial year? Thank you.
Just a reiteration of your very last question, just for my own notes, Gordon.
Sure, I can try to find it here, I suppose. I don't think I will. In the resolutions, there's a resolution here that the budgets of the security cluster departments should not be diminished going forward. Has that resolution, is that resolution implemented in this financial year or the next? Or is there still debate about whether it will be implemented?
Thank you very much. The very last colleague, this side, I just want to check if we have any other questions. Okay, so it will be yourself, and then I will end there with Naki.
Raymond from Network 24. I'm still reading through this document, but what was the resolve regarding the castration of rapists? Did it come up, and what was the resolve? The castration of rapists. I remember that was a talking point. Castration of rapists.
Castration.
Yes.
Okay.
And then lastly, did the ANC follow through with the threat regarding Andre de Ruyter if he doesn't go and lay charges in 7 days? What is the latest regarding that?
Okay, thank you very much. Let's then turn over to Eric over there.
Thank you very much. My name is Eric Naki from The Citizen. I would like to know regarding the suggestion that you need to explore the implementation of the wealth tax. Wealth tax, what are the details and how are you planning to implement the wealth tax? Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that having been asked, let me invite you, SG.
Kenny, do we look at amending the Constitution? No, not at all. We're going to formulate a program of action on how some of these resolutions are going to be implemented in the short term and the long term, and the legislative implications for the implementation of some of the resolutions that we have actually taken. In terms of Matlenge has answered the question of how the distribution is going to happen. Obviously, it's going to be in all digital platforms, WhatsApp groups and everywhere else. And then we are also going to have a series of discussions on these resolutions with experts and everyone else and the chairs of our committees to elaborate further on the implementation of these resolutions. It's not just going to be resolutions that gather paper, but as we release them, they also give you enough opportunity to peruse, to have enough time to question, and also clarify how the ANC is going to implement some of the resolutions that it has taken. So that is the process we are going to follow. So tomorrow, briefing with our structures, and Sunday this weekend, it's an internal engagement with the structures, not taking them through the report of the conference, but also contemporary issues that have arisen. That is our approach, internal approaches, the ANC, to close the gap between national leadership and branches and structures, so that our membership and structures don't relate to issues through newspaper reports because newspaper reports are not comprehensive. They don't give context. Some of them are just news bites, and there is no context. So the interaction with the structures on these matters enable the leadership of the ANC to take structures on board on some of these issues. And the issues that structures themselves are interested in, because ANC gets questioned, engaged on the ground on a whole range of issues, on load shedding and all of that, and our structures need to be well armed to understand how we are actually going to be dealing with those issues. We have a big discussion now in terms of coalitions that we are implementing. David Makura, who's leading political education, is heading the committee on coalitions, and then is going to be supported by Tembing Kadimeng, legislative and governance, as well as local government intervention, Pakstau. They convene, the two subcommittees support Makura, but they are going back to look at coalitions, how we are performing, what is the state of the coalitions in the country, and what are the strategic choices we are making. And then that discussion will come to a special National Executive Committee in the next coming weeks, and then thereafter it will inform the ANC approach going forward. Our structures have been involved in discussions with other political parties, in forming coalitions in most of the local municipalities, and we'll look into those agreements that have been reached. And then we always believe that at an ideological level, we work with everybody who's on the left. And some of them might be to the extreme, but we don't work with the right. That's all can characterize that engagement. And some of the coalitions have not been quite stable, and that is the report that we'll look at in detail. So our teams are working on this. They are almost done with that particular report. So that will feature Ekurhuleni. There is nothing that is happening in this country about discussions on coalitions that we are not aware of. We are aware of what is happening in Gauteng, in KwaZulu-Natal, and elsewhere, Western Cape, Northwest, and so on. So we'll compile that report, and we then table to the National Executive Committee. We have never had so many hung municipalities in the country. It's the first time that we have these hung municipalities. So our discussion on coalitions will look into the state of coalitions in the Republic of South Africa. Yes, the issues of student financial exclusions is not only, as much as a perennial issue, like you said, it's not exclusively a youth matter. It's a question that the ANC Health Subcommittee need to look at in terms of financial exclusions. It's very much important to deal with that. Why do we have financial exclusions when we spend billions of rands on educating the poor? And we still have, from the days of Mahlengi's intervention at TEFSA, when he was General Secretary of the biggest student congress in the country. There was TEFSA, and then came NSFAS. NSFAS has now been changed, modified in terms of policy to help the poor. We need to analyze why financial exclusions. Because students must understand that you go to school to pass, to open up a space for the next poor child to come in. But you can't be kept on the queue if you are underperforming and want to use politics to justify failure in the institutions. So we need to look into that. Our our education subcommittee must look into that. And I know Minister Nzimande, together with the Alliance and everybody else, will be bringing a report to us very soon. And together with our comrades, to say how are they dealing with these matters So we need to understand, why do we still have this challenge? We're spending more than 7 billion rand on NSFAS. So that one thinks it must alleviate the problem of financial exclusions, because you've got to get in and pass, but you can't fail 3 years consecutively and still fight to be kept in the system. So there's got to be reasons for that, because NSFAS is to cater for the poorest of the poor. That is why we changed policy. From just being a loan scheme, we have actually transformed it into a bursary scheme. So the state cannot, unless we are building a nanny state, cannot invest in failure. The state must invest in progress, but also alleviate the poor who can't access education because monetarily they are not well off. So we need to address and examine that issue quite properly. The bucket system is cyclical in South Africa. If you remember, in the year 2000, the ANC manifesto talked about eradication of bucket system. President Mbeki was the president. We eradicated the bucket system. Now, the phenomenon of urbanization, as we are visited by it, it then leads us to the creation of temporary infrastructure that include the bucket system. Unfortunately, because it is cyclical, it is not permanent. We eradicate it, it comes up because we've got new settlements and so on. We did eradicate bucket system in most of the townships in the country. There are others which have taken longer in terms of eradication. That is a fact. But it can't be qualified by saying we failed. We have not failed. It has just been extended temporarily. It will be eradicated. The bucket system is cyclical because of urbanization. The movement of people from rural areas running for cover in the urban areas and for new settlements. In the new ablution facilities that we built, it leads to the creation of bucket system. It's not only in the ANC territories. Go to Samora in the Western Cape. There is bucket system in the Western bucket system. Lot of the informal settlement around the Cape Metro, they are on bucket system. So it is a societal, as society evolves, it then produces this social ills, which include the bucket system. So the issue of bucket system eradication will be permanent with us, meaning not that they should not be, it is going to be a phenomenon that comes with urbanization that will be with us every time we have new townships in the country. Slovo Camp, that will be opened next week. Mbalula Heights, that will be opened next week, and all of that. It will have a bucket system, and you will find that to eradicate it, it will take time in terms of budget issues and so on. But it is something that dehumanizes, and as we build new houses, move people from those temporary infrastructures, you need to then do away with the bucket system. So you guys keep on repeating bucket, 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 but it has not always been there. It's cyclical. There are certain areas and townships where bucket system have been longer. You know, it should have been eradicated by now. But there are townships where there was bucket system. We eradicated it and finished it off in this country. And those are new human settlements you will find. RDP houses been built. There was no housing when you go on the N1 of Soweto, going to Aldos on the N1. There were no human settlements there. You must go and watch today. There's new human settlement with new RDP houses which have come up in the past 10 years. There will be others, especially around Gauteng. You go to Klerksdorp, as you go to Volmaranstad, You go to Potchefstroom, lot of new human settlement, and you'll find bucket system there. And so it must be eradicated as and when townships and urban areas expand. Part of it includes eradicating the bucket system. The Ukrainian war, we are very clear about what must happen there. We are non-aligned. Even though people want to involve us to take sides, we don't. We are non-aligned, and we believe we need to work for peace. And Africa must lead in relation to that, just like China and others believe with us that we need to work for peace. We don't believe that the problem and the challenge of Russia-Ukraine war will be resolved by guns. We don't subscribe to that. We believe that negotiations, peaceful settlement is the solution. We don't take side with Ukraine on this matter, nor with Russia. Even though we've got historical ties and in other multilateral forums we overlap work with Russia. We have been told to walk away from Russia. Even in other multilateral forums we have said no. So we take a non-aligned approach as South Africa on this matter. And we are working with everybody, even those who are anti-Russia, to find a solution in terms of what is happening there. We don't talk to ourselves. We talk to everyone. Even those who are pro-Ukraine, we talk to them. Our president has been highly involved in that engagement with the rest of other leaders in the world. So that is what we need to understand with regard to South Africa's approach on this particular matter. Basic income grant will be finalized. Of course, it depends on a whole lot of other issues, the implementation of this policy. But we don't put it off the table. We will address it. And in the future, as part of the resolutions, it has got to be integrated and implemented going forward. Govern on the president, ill health, you must ask Vincent about it. So the president in the cabinet meeting the other day, in the state visit, I think he did catch some flu, and I was there. So in terms of what happens about it and how now that is linked to cabinet reshuffle, I don't know. There are creative people who are working amongst us, who are making up stories. When cabinet reshuffle has to happen, you will be informed. And I'm sure where you are anxious, you are just waiting. Every day you are waiting and all of that, but you will be informed. There is nothing that will happen in this country without you. So that will actually happen. That matter will be processed by the president when he is ready. He will call you and announce the changes in cabinet if there are any. So let us just all wait for that. It is the prerogative and the call of the president. So he will decide on that at the right moment. Hopefully soon, because the deputy president has also resigned. So that then put pressure, a little bit of pressure on the process, so that we make the president make announcement, because the deputy president occupies a very important position in parliament, government business. So if that post is left open for the longer period, it has got implication in the legislative program of action of governance. And the president is aware of all of these things. And he will actually apply his mind and act with speed. At least for now, we know that that is a vacant position in government. What ANC prefers in cabinet reshuffle, I mean, we will talk to the president when he comes to us about what we prefer. The process of it is that the president will come to us, he will consult the alliance, and then he will then make up his mind, because it's his prerogative in terms of the constitution. At the present moment, that has not happened. So we'll only deal with that matter when it comes to us. So as the president of the ANC, he will come to us and tell us his thinking, and we'll take it from there. So that is what happens. It can happen tonight, it can happen tomorrow, it can happen on Monday, it can happen next week. Issues of this nature, they are handled like that. They are not straightforward because it involves people, it involves a lot of thinking. If you are a fanatic, you like moving people like any other thing, and it is your ecstasy, you know, to move people around and all of that without proper consideration. Governance is a very complicated arrangement. You don't just take decisions standing and say that, Goke, today you don't report from here, you report there. It doesn't work like that. You apply your mind. I know many people have criticized, have spoken, including in the ANC. Why is it taking so long? And I've addressed them. I said, comrades, we are not reconstituting government. It will just be patch-ups to move with speed on all these things we are doing. Just look to 2024. You're looking at this thing now like as if now we are literally going to reconstitute government. No. Reshuffle is because there is a vacancy, you've got a consideration there and there. You apply your mind. Unless if you are just a fanatic, you know, you love removing people for no reason, and then government collapses, and so on. So the president, as the CEO of South Africa, has got to look as to what is in the, even when he has done that and he comes to you and announce, you'll still have criticism. If 49 million people have got a different view on cabinet, you can imagine in the ANC. Self-interest. Why? I mean, really? Do you think I'm that bad? You see, so it's anxieties that are not raised by principle. They are not informed by principle. And if president were to be informed by those anxieties when he takes decision, then he's not fit to lead the country. Presidents don't act like that. They don't act on the basis that so many people are speaking. No, they don't. Mbeki ran this country successfully without listening to the cacophony of unprincipled characters. Some of them who are self-serving. He ran this country successfully. How long was he attacked about Mando? No, you must change cabinet. A proper cabinet running proper, mean machine. And then he was attacked for over a decade, but he delivered. He delivered because he understood governance. You can change cabinet every weekend. What will you get? That's the question. So when you apply your mind, you reshuffle, you replace people, you think. You don't just do it like as if it's a festival. It's nice. When you reshuffle cabinet today, I bet next week people will have forgotten. Will have forgotten. Nina, you are just in a rush. Let me get the best coup. I can stand this coup. Yes. Hey, and about the ANC, they are giving you what you like, man. Hey, they are bayak feed and hey, minutes there to bayak nig and yeah, they are giving you everything. Yeah, he's got good friends in the ANC. I'm noting. Kotato, yeah. So, guys, you will be informed. We understand the anxiety on all these things. Minister of Electricity is going to be of interest to the country because we want the lights to be on. Who at the end comes in, let them do what they have to do, but understand what is before us. Unemployment, jobs, electricity, potholes, water, all of those things need people who are knowledgeable, who are going to run, not sleep on the job. So we want people who are available to do the job. You may love Mbalula, but Mbalula is failing on the job. He's not available. Abanye abantu nje. So you apply your mind. You don't deal with people. You apply your mind on all of these things in terms of what needs to happen. Raymond, okay, the budget in terms of security forces, I don't know if I understand you correctly. ANC accept money, right, from anywhere without any strings attached, within the prescripts of the law of the Republic. Yeah. So if you donate to the ANC, you give us money, unconditional, and we realize that you are aligned with what we can achieve, we take the money legally. That's what we do. So, and people donate to the ANC because they want to see the ANC succeed. If I'm a rich man, I've got billions and millions of rands to promote the ANC to succeed, I must fund it. There are funders in this country. I don't want to mention by names. They openly declare who they fund, and they are never taken to town. They say, yes, I will give my money to this political party. And then that is it. I won't give my money to the ANC. And then that is it. We accept money in terms of our policy without any strings attached. We have taken money sometimes back recklessly from people who have cost our image. And in certain instances, we have had to return the money. Some crook come there by buying a table and then donate by buying a table, only to find that and then that we don't know. So in that instance, we have to return the money. We don't want money from thieves. We want reputable business people who give us money. Of course, we've got our own investments. We have been attacked about our investment strategy as a party in the past, and you made it an issue, but you must understand, to run politics and to run political parties is expensive. And it's not cheap. And that is why democracy must be funded. It must be funded. And that's why our parliament and so on and the IEC are dealing with the matter. Castration, it is clearly not there in our resolutions. It is something that was agitated, not even by the Women's League. I'm not sure it was a Women's League or at some point the president of the Women's League, but it was a talk, particularly in the issue of the rape sketch, that we must consider that. But it didn't come through our resolution. We did follow on the radar. We served papers on ESCOM and the radar. When was it? This week, for 7 days. If it doesn't respond in the next 7 days, we'll take further steps. So we did, because we think that there is something illegal committed there. We don't care whether the person who's mentioned, whoever they are, they must stand for their sins. The ANC as a political party in the result has not given anyone mandate to go and mess up with the CEO of ESCOM. We have not. If individuals have gone to ESCOM, make business as though they are doing it for the ANC, we are equally interested to know who are those individuals. We can't just be lumped by somebody who's a businessman making business. ANC members who are business people, they too have a right to be in business. We must ask a lot of questions, including about ESCOM. Who's making money at ESCOM? Is it black people? Which companies are benefiting at ESCOM? Why is the media not investigating that, rather than to attack the soft target, ANC? Who are the people who are making a lot of money at ESCOM? Now we are told in these corridors that by under the radar, that we account for the largest chunk of that money. But we didn't have money to pay staff. But we were told that we are beneficiaries there. And we are about to engage in the biggest heist of renewables. That's what it is said. But we can't pay staff here at Luthuli House. People protest. So it is said that we do have money. So we can't allow the image of the ANC to be battered. The other day I said the ANC is not corrupt. And then Eusebi has made a big joke. He says, and then he says, then I'm a virgin. You know, if you say the ANC is not, he makes a joke, meaning this thing that we are corrupt, it must be acceptable. That no, we are corrupt. So everyone can just wake up and utter the word ANC corrupt people without any shred of evidence. Just utter and say ANC is corrupt. We must accept that. We can't accept that. I cannot accuse the DA or any other political party as the ANC about things I don't have evidence of, because it's a hearsay everywhere else. So when we challenge the rater, we are told that we are suppressing whistleblowers. Where did the whistleblower go? Is the ETV Studios whistleblowing office? It's not. When somebody convenes a press one-on-one interview and say what they want to say, that is not whistleblowing. You are basically playing to the gallery without doing what the law requires of you as the authority of the law to do. When you've got corruption, you report it to the Hawks, DPCI, aka Hawks, Department of Priority Crime in this country. You take it to them. I'm here at ESCOM, here is the report. That's what you do. You don't report to the minister. What do you want the minister to do about stealing? You are the authority. You report it to the police, the right authorities. The PRECA Act informs the rater to do exactly that. That I was approached and this is it. That's what you do. And then the law enforcement will investigate all of those things. Lastly, wealth tax, the detail of that, we can't deal with that. I think the Minister of Finance and the ETC on this matter deals with, but we don't want to inform government on this. It's just the principle. If we talk about generating enough financial capital to fund programs of the poor in this country, that too must be considered. Thank you.
Thank you very much, SG. Colleagues, I suggest that we then end it on that note, but also just to confirm that our report is already on our website. And then we're also available to file to the media, members of the media, using our group chat with members of the media to file even individualized resolutions. So for those that operate in the economy space, if you're looking for an economy resolution, you can find it with ease. So we will try to be as assistance as possible this afternoon still to feed you with as many of these resolutions as individuals. With that said, I'd like to thank you very much for your attendance today and for your patience. We will make it count at our next interaction, which we will speak about. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so easy.